Well, here we are in round 9 of the Lake Conference Academic Quiz Bowl. It's been a round-robin competition. And here in this round, the final round of that round-robin competition, we have with us Rosemount and Minnetonka. And here now, teams, is our first toss-up question for 10 points. The Grand Inquisitor is at it again, buying up a string of 20th Century Fox a few months ago after buying up a string of Metro Media television stations to go with his worldwide newspaper empire. For 10 points, who is this Australian-born American?
Rupert Murdoch.
Rupert Murdoch is right. Good for 10 points, Minnetonka, and it gets you an opportunity to answer our first bonus question of the game. A couplet, of course, has only 2 lines. I'll read 5 other verse forms with a set number of lines. For 5 points each, list the 5 in order from the shortest to the longest. They are sonnet, limerick, haiku, clearihue, and roundel. Begin your answer, please. Time. The answers we needed are haiku, clearihue, limerick, roundel, and sonnet in that order. Here now, teams, our next toss-up question for 10 points. It was written in a suite on the 2nd floor of Istanbul's glamorous Peripolis Hotel. While the author stayed in Istanbul, her character left by train bound for Paris. For 10 points, name this classic by Agatha Christie.
Murder on the Orient Express.
Right, for 10 points, Rosemount, and here now is a bonus question for you. 30 points will be yours if you can name this playwright on the first clue, 20 on the second, or 10 points after the third. Here's the first clue. His first verse drama was the symbolic tragedy Brand, while his first modern prose drama was The League of Youth.
Bertrand Russell?
No, here's the second clue. His last 2 works were the symbolic tragedy Gabriel Borkman and the highly symbolic When We Dead Awaken.
Yeah. St. Augustine.
No, here's the final clue. In between, he wrote The Master Builder and The Wild Duck.
Tennessee Ernie Ford.
No, Henrik Ibsen is the playwright we were looking for there. Here's our next toss-up for both teams. It's worth 10 points. You can't see it or feel it or smell it as it creeps out of the ground, invades your house, and kill...
Radon.
Radon gas is what we were looking for. Right. That's good for 10 points, Minnetonka. And here is a bonus question for you. Possible 30 points here. Voyager 2 has given us our first detailed information about the planet Uranus. For 10 points, answer these questions. First, what compound makes up Uranus's 5,000-mile deep ocean?
Methane.
No, it's water.
Huh?
Second, what element comprises about 80% of its atmosphere?
Hydrogen.
Right. Finally, within 3, how many Uranian moons do we now know of?
15.
Exactly right. Yes, good for 30 points total. I'm sorry, no, 20 points total in that bonus 2 out of the 3. Correct. Here now, teams, our next toss-up question. It's worth 10 points. In a speech on July 26, 1985, Cuban Premier Fidel Castro bemoaned that many loyal Cubans were forced to live, quote, only millimeters away from the forces of American imperialism. Castro was right, at least as far as distance is concerned. For 10 points, name the continuing U.S. military base located in Cuba.
Guantanamo.
Yes, Guantanamo Bay. Good for 10 points, Minnetonka. Here now is your bonus, again, for a possible 30 points. You can get those 30 points if you name this person on the first clue, 20 points on the second, or 10 points after all 3. First, in 1945, Andrei Gromyko suggested that this man be the first UN Secretary General, the last time the Russians backed an American for the post. Your answer, please.
No answer.
All right, and here's the second clue. He most unwillingly gave Richard Nixon his big political break in 1948.
Joe McCarthy.
No. Here is your third clue. Nixon and Whittaker Chambers produced evidence found in a pumpkin which proved him to have spied for the Soviet Union.
Alger Hiss.
That is correct for 10 points total in that bonus Minnetonka. Now, teams, our next toss-up question worth a possible 10 for you. His most recent nonfiction work was The Evidence of Things Not Seen, while his most popular novel remains Go Tell It on the Mountain. For 10 points, who was this respected journalist, essayist, and novelist who recently passed away? James Baldwin is the author we were looking for there. Try this now for 10. Monopoly is a game of fortune and misfortune. For instance, you can leave jail by surrendering a get-out-of-jail-free card, by rolling doubles, or by paying. For 10 points, paying how much?
$50.
$50, right. And that gets you 10 points and a chance at this bonus question. Patent number 157,124 is one of the most important in Western American history. It was granted to Joseph Glidden in 1874 and quickly appeared on farms and elsewhere. For 20 points, what was his invention?
Barbed wire.
Barbed wire it is, good for 20 points in that bonus response. Minnetonka, and now teams, here is another 10-point toss-up. An employment agent who specializes in getting placements for top executives is commonly known by a name associated with certain primitive tribes in New Guinea. For 10 points, what is that name? Headhunter is that name. Try this for 10. Meaning Sons of the Covenant, this cultural, civic, and philanthropic organization operates such divisions as the National Jewish Monthly and the Anti-Defamation League. For 10 points, name it. B'nai B'rith is the name of that organization. And now here, teams, is another 10-point toss-up, and we still have a bonus waiting. It's worth 30 points. When a breathless colleague dashed into his office with experimental evidence for his theory, he showed no reaction. When asked how he would have reacted if the evidence had been negative, he said, "Then I would have been sorry for the dear Lord. The theory is correct." For 10 points, who was this great theorist of space, time, energy, and mass?
Einstein.
Yes, Einstein. Good for 10 points, Minnetonka, and here is that 30-point bonus for you. Reaganomics is much associated with the terms supply-side economics and social safety net, but the president coined neither term. For 15 points each, answer the following. First, what chairman of the Council of Economic Advisors in the Nixon administration came up with supply-side economics? Your answer, please.
No answer.
Herbert Stein. Try this. What former football star, now in the House, came up with social safety net?
Jack Kemp.
Yes, Jack Kemp, now running for president, of course, and that is good for 15 points in that bonus Minnetonka. Here now, teams, our next toss-up question for 10 points. All of Sacramento, California turned out for a day and night of celebration on April 13, 1860, the day on which Sacramento was first brought to within 10 days communication time with St. Joseph, Missouri. For 10 points, what romanticized...
Pony Express.
Pony Express is what we were looking for, right, Minnetonka, for 10 points. Here now a 30-point bonus for you. E is the most commonly used letter in the English language. For 10 points each, answer these questions about other letters. What letter is the least commonly used?
Z.
Z is right. What letter is the most commonly used initial letter?
S.
S it is. Finally, what is the least commonly used initial letter?
X.
Yes, it is X, and I should remind your team that I need to hear responses only from the captain, please. And that gets you a total of 30 points in that bonus for Minnetonka. And now here, teams, is our next toss-up question. It's worth 10 points. Although an early election can always be called, the British Prime Minister normally serves a term of 1 lustrum or 1 quinquennium. For 10 points, just how long is that?
Maximum of 5 years.
5 years is right. Good for 10 points, Minnetonka. Here now another bonus for you. George Jamo's The Creation of the Universe and Fred Hoyle's The Nature of the Universe were two basic and conflicting cosmological treatises of the 1950s. For 10 points each, which theory is advanced in the following? First, in Jamo's book. Your answer, please.
No answer.
The Big Bang theory is advanced there. And second, in Hoyle's book.
Creationism.
No, the steady state or continuous creation theory. So, no bonus points for you there, Minnetonka. You picked up 10 for the toss-up, however. We are at about halftime here, and so I'll check the halftime score. 165 for Minnetonka and 10 for Rosemount. We continue now with this toss-up teams for 10 points. This borough of New York City is home to Fordham University, the House of Edgar Allan Poe, and Yankee Stadium.
The Bronx.
Bronx is right for 10 points, Minnetonka. Here is a bonus question for you. I'll give you the official names of several organizations influential in U.S. history. For 10 points each, you give me their more common names. First, the Patrons of Husbandry.
Daughters of the American Revolution.
No, the Grange. Try this, the United Society of Believers in Christ's Second Appearing.
Okay, how about Jehovah's Witnesses?
How about the Shakers instead? Try this, the American Party.
Know Nothing Party?
That is correct, so we give you one of the three correct for 10 points in that bonus. Here now our next toss-up for 10 points. In its many years, Walt Disney Studios have produced only G-rated films until 1985. For 10 points, name
Down and Out in Beverly Hills.
No, I'll complete now for Minnetonka. Name Disney's first PG production, an animated film about
The Black Cauldron.
The Black Cauldron. Yes, indeed. Good for 10 points, Minnetonka. Here now is a bonus for you for a possible 30 points. For one whole season in London, this premier couple of the British stage alternated as Caesar and Cleopatra in Shaw's play and Antony and Cleopatra in Shakespeare's play. For 15 points each, who were these married all-time all-stars of stage and screen?
No answers.
Laurence Olivier and Vivian Leigh were the two that we were looking for there. Try this now for 10 points. Both teams. A Tsarist police poster described him as 5 feet 4 inches tall, with the second and third toes of his left foot fused together, with his left arm swollen and shorter than his right. For 10 points. Who was this little man who outlived or executed all his enemies until his...
Joseph Stalin.
Right, his death in 1953. Good for 10 points, Minnetonka. Here's your bonus. He directed his first wife, Brigitte Bardot, in the then risque and God-created woman, and his third wife, Jane Fonda, in the quite un-Fonda-like Barbarella. For 25 points, who is this French movie director? Your answer, please.
No answer.
Roger Vadim is the movie director. Now try this question for 10 points. An architect would define it as the central voussoir block of an arch. Most of us know it as a nickname.
The Springer.
No, complete now for Minnetonka. A nickname for the state of Pennsylvania. What is it?
Keystone.
Keystone it is. Good for 10 points, Minnetonka. And here now is a bonus for you for a possible 20 points. The Stuarting and the Riksdag voted to go their separate ways in 1905 under the respective rule of Kings Haakon the Seventh and Oscar the Second for 10 points each. What two nations were then formed?
Norway and Sweden.
Right, for 20 points. Here now, teams, our next toss-up question for possible 10. This bird, until recently threatened with extinction, has been making a comeback across the U.S. For 10 points, name this fastest of...
Rosemount, yeah. Whooping crane?
No, I'll complete now for Minnetonka. Name this fastest of birds of prey.
Bald eagle.
No, the peregrine falcons. Birds we were looking for there. Try this toss-up next, teams. The Verdi Conservatory of Music, the Church of Santa Maria della Grazia, and La Scala Opera House are among the artistic treasures of this northern Italian city. For 10 points, what metropolis is this?
Rosemount, yeah. Milan?
Milan, right for Rosemount. And here now, Rosemount is a bonus question for you. If the popular singer who starred in the Broadway and film versions of The Pirates of Penzance had married her politician boyfriend, her married name would have been the same as the young black girl whose lawsuit against the Topeka Board of Education led to nationwide desegregation in 1954. For 20 points, what is that full name?
You mean that she would have been married?
I can't repeat the question.
Oh, that's okay. Linda Ronstadt Brown.
Well, we'll give that to you. Linda Brown is the full name that we were looking for.
All right.
And so we give you 20 points for that correct response, Rosemount. And here now, teams, is our next toss-up question for 10. His The Three Voyages of Blank Blank Around the World was published from 1773 to 1784. Unfortunately, the author never saw his final volume in print because he was killed in 1779 by the natives of Hawaii. For 10 points, who was this?
Minnetonka, wood.
Captain Cook.
Captain Cook, right, famous British explorer. Good for 10, and it gets you the opportunity to reply to my next bonus question. Here it is. The 5 most populous nations on Earth are, in order, China, India, the Soviet Union, the U.S., and Indonesia. For 5 points each in any order, what nations are in 6th through 10th places? Be careful, your first miss will stop you. Begin your answer, please. Time. Japan, Brazil, Nigeria, Bangladesh, and Pakistan are in 6th through 10th places. You know, teams, our next toss-up question, just a few of them left. His last years were as unhappy as his first. Warned that he would surely kill himself if he continued touring the world, giving dramatic readings, he chose to continue. He survived the tour, but at the age of 58, dropped dead at his desk while writing The Mystery of Edwin Drood.
Minnetonka, shoot.
Charles Dickens.
Right, Charles Dickens, good for 10 points, Minnetonka, and here is a bonus question for you next. 25 points can be yours for naming this composer on the first clue, or 15 points on the second clue. First, Beethoven made a classic pun on his name when he translated from the German, not Brook, but sea should be his name. Your answer, please.
No answer.
Okay, here's the second clue. Of his 20 children, 3 sons also became famous composers. Your
No answer.
please. Johann Sebastian Bach is who we were looking for there. Try this now for 10 points, teams. Archaeozoic, or I should say Archaeozoic, Cenozoic, and Paleozoic were eras in the Earth's history. For 10 points, which was first?
Rosemount, yeah.
Paleozoic.
No, can you take it, Minnetonka?
Archaeozoic?
Archaeozoic, yes indeed. Good for 10 points. And an opportunity for you now to answer this bonus question. Igor Stravinsky, Pablo Picasso, and Sergei Diaghilev were guests of honor at a party given in Paris on May 18, 1922. As if these three guests were not enough, the soon-to-be greatest writers in English and French also attended. For 10 points each, name this Irishman and Frenchman. Your answer, please.
One of them was Voltaire, and the Irish one, we don't.
Time. James Joyce and Marcel Proust were the two writers. And here now, teams, is our next toss-up question for 10. Meaning finder or inventor in the Provençal language, these wandering lyric poets of southern France specialized in love songs from the 12th through the 14th.
Rosemount.
Minstrel?
No, complete now for Minnetonka. In love songs from the 12th through the 14th centuries. For 10 points, by what romantic name are they known?
Ballads?
No, troubadours. Troubadours. Here now, teams, our final toss-up of this round of play. He was carried off by the gypsies when he was 4. Had he not been found, the whole history of capitalism might have been different. For 10 points, name this Scottish economist and arch proponent of laissez-faire.
Minnetonka. Shoot.
Adam Smith.
Adam Smith, right, good for 10 points. Here now is a bonus question for you, Minnetonka. They founded the New York Infirmary in 1856 and trained nurses for the Union Army in the Civil War. They were also the first American women to gain Doctor of Medicine degrees. For 20 points, what was the last name of these pioneering sisters, Elizabeth and Emily? Your answer, please.
Smith?
No, Blackwell. Elizabeth and Emily Blackwell. So, game is over, and I'll check now the final score from our scorekeeper.
275, Minnetonka 20.
Okay, 275 Minnetonka and 20 for Rosemount. Thank you for joining us here on the Lake Conference Quiz Bowl.
Nice job.